We'll have a chance to ask questions of these gentlemen just a little bit. But we're going to move down to the end of the table over here to Jennifer Ahidi Amin. And she is a features editor at Celebrating Progress Africa. She's also a freelance reporter for the Global Press Institute, which is a nonprofit that trains women in the developing world to be journalists. She also writes a column called This Generation in the Nation newspaper, and she's going to share with us a little bit about digital media in Nigeria.
Good morning, everyone. I was riding in the bus this morning with a journalist from Burma, and she was basically sharing her experience. She asked me a few questions about the Nigerian press, and I realized, comparing our experiences, what she's facing down in Burma is totally different from what an average journalist faces in Nigeria. Although I won't say the Nigerian press is 100% free, but to some extent I think my generation, like the young generation of journalists, is actually experiencing what it means to practice journalism in a relatively free press environment. Basically today I'm going to be sharing my perspective on the new media and how it's changing the face of journalism practice among young people in Nigeria. So, well, 70% of the Nigerian populations are under 35 years old, which means basically young people constitute the major population in Nigeria. And the traditional media is still the major source of information, news and information. We have like the newspaper, which is dominated by political news. We have the magazines, the television, and the radio. Most people believe that radio and rumor is one of the is actually number one source of news and information, because radio breaks the barrier of the usual barrier of illiteracy. Well, literacy barrier. People living in the rural area have the ability to access information, even though they are not like in the city. They don't have like access to electricity and the rest of it. For digital media, is just evolving. It's not like 100% popular yet. As at December 2010, only 30% of Nigerians had access to the internet. And currently, most people access the internet using their smartphones. As from the statistics, you can see that 80 million people actually use their mobile phones, while the most popular website that is accessed in Nigeria is the Facebook. Most people depend on this social network site for information dissemination. How the traditional media portray young people in the media generally in the past used to be like very negative. Most media organizations only disseminate news about young people when it's negative, because the norm is that negative news always sell. So as part of an effort to address this challenge, most media organizations now engage young people as contributors, reporters, radio and TV hosts, or as freelance reporter. This is one of the reasons why This Generation column was launched in 2007 in the Nation newspaper. So basically, This Generation is a column created to serve as an advocacy and empowerment tool for young Nigerians. My role basically is to try to create content that will inspire young people, that would mobilize and also increase youth participation in different social reform. Now, talking about social reform in Nigeria, it used to be a norm where young people definitely should just be seen and not heard. Like, there's this African culture where young people are believed to always just be in the background. Opinions were usually relegated to the background. However, the new media is changing this. In 2010, in March 2010, young Nigerians saw how Enough is Enough rally basically mobilized young people from all different parts of Nigeria to draw the attention of government leaders for the need to institute good governance and accountability in the system. And also, the rally contributed positively to mobilizing young people during the just concluded elections, where young people using their mobile phones served as informal observers during the election. Without the internet, without the new media, this wouldn't have been possible. So most young people now communicate, they now discuss, they now debate issues using the new media, and this is actually changing the norm of just being passive observers into being active citizens within the country. The new media is also changing the face of Nigerian media because most young people are now able to establish different media organizations. We have the popular Why Nigeria, which is basically a youth organization that tends to capture the essence of the Nigerian youth culture. Then we have Celebrating Progress Africa. The focus of CP Africa basically is to encourage young Africans to blog about positive news about Africa instead of depending on the Western media to disseminate news. So by generating positive news about Africa, everybody gets to also hear like the positive things that happen in Africa. Then also we have like the different media organizations like Global Press Institute that's actually giving young women in developing countries the opportunity for them to generate development news. Like I said earlier on, from my own personal experience, when I started practicing, I discovered that most content in the Nigerian media were just politically focused. There was no human angle interest stories, and the Global Press Institute is actually creating opportunities for young journalists to generate development news that would contribute to development. With the new media, the new media basically provides different challenges as well as opportunities. There's the issue of financial challenge because people who do not access the internet is as a result of lack of finances. Then there's the tech know-how, the digital divide between the rural and the urban. We have the fact that now opinion is free, everybody disseminates all sorts of information through the internet without verifying the facts. Then also different bloggers now are being threatened by the government leaders as well as the usual peer pressure where people try to restrain your opinions because they feel you shouldn't air it. Then the opportunities the new media provides is the fact that young people now who are tech savvy serve as help organizations to actually launch different social media strategies. Then also easy to access information and global connectivity. Like I said earlier on, with the new media, young people now have ability to express themselves without fear or inhibition. Then also there is also the fact that development journalism is being promoted and cultural
I'm sorry,
divide.
Jennifer, just 1 second. Our friends in Azerbaijan, we can hear you guys on the speaker here. So if we can we mute them or? Okay, that probably makes more sense. We don't mean to muffle you.
You want to silence us?
I want nothing to do with that. Only for the next 5 minutes.
Okay. Lastly, just to point out the multi-ethnicity in Nigeria is also being in a way the focus is shifting from we are all different to we are all one, as a country. So I think the new media is also helping us bridge the cultural divide that exists in Nigeria to foster mutual understanding because people converge on the internet, on different social network sites to talk about issues that are facing us as a country and not just about our diversity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.